Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We'll be starting in just a moment. Let's see. While you're waiting, feel free to review our program information at csudh.edu/CEIE/HR and take a look at what some of our students have to say about the program. We'll be with you momentarily. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Anissa Barton Thompson, and I'm the social media specialist for the College of Extended and International Education here at California State University, Dominguez Hills. I'll be your host for this presentation, so welcome. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website and social media resources shortly after today's session. Feel free to download the Human Resource Management Program's information kit for details about the program and additional resources covered in this webinar. The address is bit.ly/CSUDH-HRM-InfoKit. We've provided a link in the chat for those who are participating live, and it will also be available via a follow-up email to attendees as well as on our website. So before we jump in, I'd like to review the Zoom controls. Now, this session is being presented in a webinar format, so you won't need to worry about connecting your microphone or camera. However, we do want your participation. So help us address your needs. Use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you're joining us from the Zoom desktop app or web browser, or in the top right of your screen if you're on a mobile device. Once you click that Q&A button, a dialog box will open allowing you to type your question, and please ask your questions in that Q&A panel rather than in the chat panel. Now, that chat panel we use to provide some helpful links and other information. Our marketing staff members, Stephanie Bukian and Keith Otterberg, as well as our program director, Elizabeth Legg, will be standing by to assist. We'll be answering your questions at the end of the session, although often you may find that the question you have has been answered during the course of the presentation. So with that being said, let's begin by meeting our certificate faculty, who will introduce you to the program via an overview of benefits, expectations, and course details. Then we'll go over the registration and login information and address your questions in our Q&A session. And now, to kick off today's presentation, I'll turn it over to Linda Nespole, one of our 4 insightful instructors for the program. Linda, take it away.
Thank you, Anissa, and welcome everybody. Super happy to see so many people participating in our info session. I think it's really important before we dive into the programs and what we offer to take an opportunity to meet the instructor team. So here we are. Unfortunately, Jen Perez, the first name on the list, is not able to be with us, but I have some really good information to share with you about Jen. She has over 25 years of HR experience, and she's actually been an instructor with this program for 8 years. This is the best part of it all. Jen graduated from this program, which makes her such a great resources. So the things we're going to be talking to you about, she's actually been through and now is applying them to her job. So that's the information on Jen. And we'll let Jim talk about his expertise. And
hi, everyone. I'm Jim Vigneau. As you can tell in the picture, I'm the beast among the beauties. I've been with the program from the very beginning. I was instructor number 1. And so I've been with the program for 26 years. We are moving into our 26th year. And I have been an executive in human resources for 30 of my 40 years in the human resources business. So that's what I'll be bringing to the various programs that we'll be presenting. And so, Jeanie, you're up next.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeanie Talbot. I've been part of this wonderful team with Jim, actually. I'm in my 17th year here at Cal State Dominguez Hills. And I've been in HR industry for more than 25 years. I'm nearly hitting 30 years in the industry. And I got involved with HR first as a recruiter, and then worked my way through various industries, various companies, both small and large, and held several different HR-related positions. I came to California State University Dominguez Hills in 2005, and I actually opened my HR consulting firm in August of the same year. So I have really enjoyed my time here and look forward to meeting you and working with you in our programs.
thanks, Jeanie. Okay, hi again, everybody. I'm Linda Nespole, and I'm the newbie of the instructor team. But this year marks my 5th anniversary as an instructor at Cal State University Dominguez Hills. Yay! I got involved in HR over 30 years ago by accident. I wish these programs would have been available to me at that time. It would have been so helpful to understand the basics of human resources administration. So my background is primarily in manufacturing, both in a union and non-union environment, in the aerospace and defense industries. But most recently, I've been working in the e-commerce, warehouse, and distribution sectors. So that's the instructor team, everyone. What I'd like to do now is kind of give you an outlook on the HR management industry. So I did some research through the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the projected growth for HR professionals is at 12% right now. So the need for HR has grown during the pandemic, and the latest need is in the area of expertise in diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as leave management. The 2021 median pay was approximately $68,000. The typical entry-level education is a bachelor degree or equivalent relative experience. The job growth outlook in the human resource field for 2022 through 2029 is at 10% right now, which is faster than the average and an increase of 2% over last year. So this is a really good time to be in human resources. I did want to point out that this information is mainly nationwide and doesn't really pertain just to California. California has its own growth pattern. And for those of you who are looking to get into human resources or who may just want to see what's out there, if you've been on ZipRecruiter, you've been on Indeed, if you've been on LinkedIn, you'll see that there's a lot of opportunities out there for human resources professionals. So with that, let's take a look at the history of this program. So in 1996, Jim Vigneau, as you just met, founded this program, and he was asked to create it as through the College of Extended Education as a result of a need to cater more toward individuals who are looking to begin a career in HR or are already as in HR as practitioners, rather than go through an academic, more theoretical program. Jim developed and adapted the program for relevancy, like he said, over the past 26 years. Obviously, there's been a ton of changes during that time, and the information we provide is updated each semester. That's something we're very proud of. All of the instructor staff is up to date on the ever-changing role in human resources. So the target audience for this program is HR practitioners, those who've been thrown into HR, like I was, such as office managers, and those individuals who are looking to make HR a career for themselves. We meet all of these needs and a lot more. These programs are oriented toward practical hands-on learning rather than just the theoretical theories behind it. We explore those theories, but concentrate more on class exercises that teach our students how to apply those theories to real and current HR situations. We look at how you can take and use the information, because learning is not just about obtaining knowledge. Learning is about changing behaviors. It's actually applying in the real world what you've gained on that knowledge base. This has been our focus and is key to what we offer. Our programs have tremendous high value to our participants. There is what I call an educational return on investment, or an educational ROI. For the amount of information you walk away with, you'll get 20 times back that in things you can use in your organizations. And I'm talking real items, not just theories. You'll walk away with an employment application that is compliant and ready to use. You'll walk away with a compensation plan and pay administration document and tools to build pay rate ranges and structures within that document. You'll learn how to draft a strong, compliant, extensive job description that supports not only the individual doing the job, but also supports the structure of your organization and can be integrated into the pay plan. You'll walk away with an employee handbook that forms the basis for you to create your own handbook based on your organization. You'll learn how to conduct effective interviews and the do's and don'ts of the interview process. All these and so much more are covered in our program. In fact, if you were to go to an outside HR consultant, it would be at least $20,000 worth of work. So you can be the hero in your company because you'll be able to do these things after you take our courses. We're current, we're compliant, we're consistent with what we teach. The grading system is continuing education units, or credit, no credit. And for those already HR certified through SHRM or HRCI, these classes count toward the required certification maintenance. So let's move on. Let's talk about the different programs we offer. So the first program is our core program, and it's the Human Resource Management program. And in fact, that's what I'm going to be teaching this semester. This is our foundation program. It gives you all the fundamental parts of HR. We'll take a look at some of the specifics in a few moments. The next program you see is the HR Business Partner, and it is much more strategically orientated and focused on a higher level of HR versus HR administration and contribution. The third course we offer is Management and Supervision. This is not a pure HR course. We teach this program for managers and supervisors who may be new to their role or need more support in their role, or for individuals who are looking to advance into a management role. The focus is not so much on the technical aspect like a marketing manager or an accounting manager, but more concentrated on how you manage your teams. The fourth program is a SHRM certification prep course, and Jeanie will talk more about that when we get to that section. But I will say that we are very proud of our success rates in students passing the exam for the very first time. Okay, so those are our programs. So let's talk about the schedule. So from a scheduling standpoint, we offer these classes year-round. They are offered on weeknights. Our weeknight program follows the semester schedule. There will be about 15 classes per the schedule. We offer 3 night classes through the week on different courses. So you can complete your certificate in as little as 2 months. Evening class sessions are typically 3 hours long. So due to the pandemic, we offer all these classes online through Blackboard Learning Management System and via Zoom web conferencing. For specific program dates, please refer to the information kit. Okay, let's take a look at the specific programs. So I'm going to talk about the HR Management Certificate Program. It's our core program, and as you see, as we review the various sessions that fall under each class, it has 4 modules, and each of the modules have 4 different sessions except for the last one. We start at the beginning with establishing HR systems by reviewing the basic HR systems. We talk about the evolution of HR and how we came to where we are today in light of the role HR played in the past that was mainly clerical. Then we jump into the various systems. You will learn about the different elements of talent acquisition, such as best practice for sourcing, identifying and evaluating the right candidates for your open position. We have class exercises and demonstrations on effective interviewing techniques. A lot of what we teach comes through demonstrations in which students practice in class what we teach. We do case studies and review and discuss handouts, like the job application. We take a look to see if the one you're using is legal or not. We spend a lot of time on this because it's a very important area. Then we move into labor and employee relations systems. We touch on the standards of conduct and the controls that are established, such as policies and procedures, employee handbooks, workplace investigations, those type of things. And we really get into the nitty-gritty of them. This brings us to the second module. Total rewards is really about compensation and benefits. We look at the foundation of that and how pay and benefits work together, and how benefits, and not just health benefits, must be looked at as part of total compensation. We then teach students how to build pay systems. How do you go to market and actually build pay ranges, evaluate jobs, how to price those jobs and do so accurately. We teach you how to create job descriptions so that you can do your own market comparative analysis. Students will practice writing mini job descriptions. And part of this particular module is learning how to develop rate ranges. And Jim has taught all of us instructors an easy to learn method of developing rate ranges. He's taken the hard calculation out of the equation and created a formula easy to understand and use. And we're super excited to share this with you. You will be able to practice in this class and understand how to create theoretical rate ranges. The third module goes to labor and employment law, which is really the heart of human resources. We take a look at the laws that govern our workplace. We review about 20 case studies of various laws and how they manifest themselves into the workplace. We take a look at workplace investigations and review appropriate corrective action plans. We discuss coaching versus counseling, and there is a nuance to that. We take a look at all the different leaves under federal and California guidelines, including recent COVID leaves, and when you can deny leaves, and the leave process and how to manage it. It's become very critical to understand this during this pandemic times. So we do a deep dive into those areas. The last class is an evening with a labor attorney and is one of my absolute favorites. Participants in this class will submit questions to be answered by an attorney who is on the Cal State University Dominguez Hills Advisory Board. It's a fun class and a great way to see how things are viewed from an employment law attorney. Plus, it's free legal advice. Our fourth module is communication dynamics and is focused on what goes into successful communication within HR. There are effective principles we look at that can be passed on to others. It can impact the culture of your organization. You can coach others into being better managers and communicators and better problem solvers. We look at communication styles and learn how to recognize them not only in yourself, but in others, so that you can become a more effective communicator. We teach you the tricks of being an effective, persuasive communicator. How do you change a no to a yes? And how do you get people on board with your ideas in a team approach? It's an easy module, but hard to apply because you have to consciously choose to do it. But when you do, it works really well. Then we look at the basic foundations of communication through the Hawthorne effect, the Pygmalion effect, and end the class with a group communication fun class exercise. So that pretty much sums up our core program in the HR management certificate. Now Jim will talk about the HR business partner certificate.
Thank you, Linda. The HR Business Partner program is what I will be teaching for the spring semester. It is broken into 3 major classes, and we start with a foundational approach and we build upon that particular foundation. This is, as Linda mentioned earlier, much more strategic in its approach. It's much more advanced. So if you are, if you've not been in human resources up to this point, you really need to focus on the HR management certificate program that Linda just described. If you have a basic working knowledge of human resources or some aspect of human resources, or if you've completed that HR management certificate, then the HR business partner certificate will be one that would be a natural next step to be able to take and build your skills and techniques at a more strategic level as a human resources true business partner. So as I mentioned, we build from the ground up. So our first class has 6 sessions. We call it Building the Partnership. We take a look at what you need to do to learn the business. You can't be a business partner unless you know the business, not just HR. You have to know other aspects of the business. And we take a look at how you can go about doing that. We build on the talent acquisition that was a module in our HR management certificate. And we take a look at that larger picture of how do you build a talent pipeline? Where can you expand into more non-traditional areas of talent acquisition? We take a look at employee onboarding and engagement. This is a cultural approach. This is where you have an influence on culture. You influence the retention of employees through effective onboarding. And retention these days is a very critical issue for most businesses. The 4th session takes a look at earning C-suite trust. You have to be able to meet the needs of the executive staff. You need to be able to gain their trust. Often human resources is looked at a little bit sideways. You are a drain on profit. You do not build revenue. You actually spend the revenue that is brought in. So you have to be able to earn C-suite trust that they feel that they want to invest in you as you invest in those relationships. We then take a look at human resource metrics and analytics. Yes, the calculator app on your phone will be coming out and you'll be doing math. But you'll be taking a look at what are the measurements? How do you measure success? How do you analyze what you're measuring and use that in a strategic way? Then we take a look at, still with those calculators out, labor costing and budgeting. Here's where you can have a direct impact on the operation of the business. By taking a look at what is very often the highest expense for most organizations, which is labor, and you're in charge of that. Then we move into the second program. Now that we've built the partnership, excuse me, you want to be able to develop it. So we take a look at training and development approaches and programs. We move on into coaching, counseling, and conflict resolution. It's not just a human resources issue. You need to be able to share that with your managers and supervisors. Succession planning is our third module. This is an area that very few HR people are adept at, but it's one that organizations are looking for you to contribute in. So we take a look at how do you build succession planning programs, approaches, have something that's actually going to work for the organization. And then the last and fourth session in developing the partnership, we take a look at performance management. Excuse me. Now we do that in our HR certificate program, but in this arena, we look at it as a strategic tool. And how do you take just a simple performance appraisal system and turn it into something that is a strategic contribution to the organization? How do you make it a tool for managers and employees to be able to use? Our third and final class is working the partnership. You've built it, you've developed it, now you have to work it effectively. So we move into project management. This is an area where I find that when I bring project management tools into the workplace, similarly as in my current assignment with Peppermint Ridge, it's a nonprofit where we have managers that don't know how to manage their projects. We take a look at really solid project management approaches, fairly basic, fairly simple, but one that will help you not only shine in being able to manage projects, but something that you can share with others and bring them in on and build a team through the effective management of those various projects, tracking budget, tracking actions, tracking responsibilities, and having accountability, all built in to one single approach. Change management, you are the change agent for organizations. How can you effectively manage change? This is a very challenging area. Change often is resisted because there's a fear factor behind change that not just employees feel, but even managers feel. So how do you give them the comfort to be able to accept and embrace change and make that change effective? Our third session goes into the ethics of human resources. Very often, human resource professionals are the ethics officers for the organization. But our approach here is what happens when you're faced with a professional dilemma in human resources itself as a human resources professional. When you are faced with, well, I know what policy says I should do, but there's an alternative that might be a better right thing to do. How do I deal with that dilemma? So we take a look at ethics in human resources management. And then finally, we come back to labor management relations. This is usually what you find in a union or mixed union, non-union environment. And even though you may not have experienced a union environment, the National Labor Relations Act still applies to you. And you should have some feel for what it is like to operate in that kind of an environment. So in that last session, you will actually negotiate a mini contract. And it becomes very realistic, having negotiated a number of union contracts myself. It's amazing how just a classroom exercise can bring the real world into the classroom. And we do that in each of all of these particular sessions. You will practice all of the topics that we've listed here in these three classes. It's very hands-on, it's very dynamic, and it's very strategic in its orientation. With these tools, you really truly can become a true business partner, not just have the title, not just talk the talk, you can walk the walk with it. Okay. All right. So that's our HR business partner certificate. Our next program is our management and supervision certificate. And Jeanie, why don't you tell everybody about that one?
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. The Management and Supervision Certificate is an 8-week program with 2 modules, 4 sessions each. This course is designed for anyone who is either a new or seasoned manager or an individual who wants to learn what being a manager is all about. In the first session, Roles and Functions, we first define the term management and then segue into defining the term manager, outlining distinctions between leaders and followers in terms of relevant tasks and functional dynamics. We discuss how managers are deemed successful, emphasizing people and communication skills. In session 2, we continue with roles and functions, and we talk about the benefits of a diverse workforce. Embracing differences can result in an employer's competitive advantage through recruiting, hiring, marketing, and increased revenues. We also discuss the effectiveness of frequent manager training as it relates to allaying certain workplace lawsuits while building effective internal employee relationships. Then we talk about legal aspects of management. And managers are a company's first line of defense and need to understand the importance of an effective risk management program that include enhanced safety, security, and compliance policies, particularly as they apply to our current COVID-19 realities, and could include decision-making elements related to discrimination, harassment, retaliation, and workplace accidents. The fourth session in our first module, effective selection interviewing. Employees are considered the most valuable and expensive workplace asset, and to that end, selecting the very best talent should be deemed an investment in the company's future. We deep dive into the behavioral interviewing process, which statistically has resulted in successful long-term hires through a candidate's demonstration of his or her past performance and experience. Then we go into our second module, beginning and talking about team management. We talk about in this session, we talk about change management. What is change? What causes change? What influences change? We segue from identifying individual managers' contributions in Module 1 to the team development and demonstrate collaborative approaches to a change management scenario within the team paradigm. The second element is performance management. This session addresses various performance management process components, functions, methodologies, and metrics. Students are encouraged to share scenarios from their current or previous workplace experiences, which usually promote very illustrative comparative discussions, and particularly emphasizing elements unique to specific industries, maintaining the rule of thumb that one size does not fit all. The third session, communication dynamics, the basics, one of the most important business skills, yet presents the most workplace challenges. We break down fundamentals through understanding such concepts of business versus social communication, nonverbal communication, communication styles, understanding audience, adapting your own style to benefit your desired outcome. And of course, the fourth session is communication dynamics and the influencing factor. Probably the most fun session. Students learn about influencing model talk about other person's point of view. Coming as close to 50-50 as possible. Students demonstrate through a final in-class task solving a bank robbery. This concludes the description of our management and supervision course. I shall now describe the shrmprep course. The SHRM certification is a professional designation powered by the Society for Human Resource Management, formerly called the American Society for Personnel Administration, which was founded in 1948 by a group of 28 individuals. SHRM's mission is to elevate the HR profession, to empower people in workplaces by advancing HR practices, and by maximizing human potential. It accomplishes its mission in part through its certification process. SHRM offers 2 certification designations. based on a core set of competency and knowledge principles outlined in the SHRM body of applied skills and knowledge known as the SHRM BASC. The SHRM CP and SHRM SCP certifications provide credential holders with a roadmap for achieving vital outcomes leading to personal and organizational success. We'll talk more about the value of SHRM CP and SHRM SCP and provide details about each of these certifications and how our prep course can help you prepare and succeed in the exam. Why pursue SHRM certification? It demonstrates to employers that an HR professional has current and relevant skills and competencies. It provides a universal standard that is recognized around the globe. It delivers an opportunity to learn practical skills and competencies to impact your job immediately, and it validates proficiency as a business leader by testing knowledge and how you use that knowledge. The SHRM CP and SHRM SCP certifications signify mastery of the HR competencies and knowledge that are defined in the SHRM body of applied skills and knowledge, the SHRM BASC. The SHRM body of applied skills and knowledge represents the evolution of the SHRM competency model by further defining the knowledge areas in addition to the behavioral competencies. The SHRM BASC was developed through a series of large-scale research studies that incorporated the viewpoints of thousands of HR professionals from around the world. It was most recently updated in 2021 and now includes 9 behavioral competencies as well as 1 technical competency. This SHRM BASC competency model is the fundamental foundation of the SHRM exam. You may ask, which exam is best for me? The SHRM Certified Professional, or SHRM CP, is designed to assess competency levels of HR work of an operational nature. For example, implementing HR policies, supporting day-to-day HR functions, serving as an HR point of contact for staff and stakeholders. The SHRM Senior Certified Professional, or the SHRM SCP, is designed to assess competency level of those who engage in HR work in a more strategic role. For example, developing HR policies and procedures, overseeing the execution of integrated HR operation, directing an entire HR enterprise, and leading the alignment of HR strategies to organizational goals. Please refer to your information toolkit for additional details about the process of becoming SHRM certified, including testing windows, application process, testing format, and more. For eligibility, individuals who perform HR and/or HR-related duties and wish to verify, validate, enhance, and/or expand their HR capabilities are likely eligible for SHRM CP or SHRM SCP certification. SHRM membership is not required, and individuals do not need to be employed at the time they apply. For the SHRM Certified Professional, the SHRM CP, the HR title is not required in your position. No degree is required. Previous HR experience is not required. However, with all that having been said, basic working knowledge of HR practices and principles is highly recommended, and you can get that introduction through our HR management course. For the SHRM Senior Certified Professional, the SHRM SCP, individuals with a work history of at least 3 years, totaling 1,000 hours per calendar year going from January to December, and performing strategic level HR or HR-related duties. Please note that more than 1,000 hours attained in a calendar year does not equate to more than 1 year of experience. Part-time work qualifies as long as the 1,000-hour per calendar year standard is met. Work experience may be at the salary or hourly pay classification. SHRM CP holders credentialed for 3 years or more, and transitioning to strategic level role may also be considered. So what about HR consultants? Individuals who are HR consultants may demonstrate qualifying experience through the HR and HR-related duties they perform for their clients. Contracted hours must meet the 1,000-hour standard, which I previously described. Please refer to your information toolkit for additional details. Significant commitment is required for success in the SHRM certification exams. We present a 12-week instructor-led course to help applicants prepare to pass the exam and become certified. The class offers an interactive learning environment using the online SHRM learning system. Each student also receives a detailed syllabus outlining specific SHRM course and completion certificate requirements. We at California State University, Dominguez Hills, are most proud of our exam passing rates. They have been higher than the national average, which has been from about 53 to 58%. Our reported results have been around mid-70s to low 80s. So who should attend? Those already working in HR and seeking to advance their HR practices and or preparing for professional certification, and also those transitioning into an HR career and who possess a working knowledge of HR practices and principles. Please understand, and this is very important, this course is not about learning HR. Its primary purpose is to ensure each student's exam success through a continued question and answer practice regimen presented in an HR-focused examination and testing environment. This is not to say that course attendees will not learn something new. Indeed, each class presents opportunities for participants to identify new, more effective and efficient approaches to performing their functions, tasks via introductions to an array of HR terms, concepts, questions, and case studies within the interactive dynamic. Courses are offered during the fall and spring semesters, coinciding with SHRM's 2 testing windows, May 1st through July 15th, and December 1st through the following February 15th. For students registered in our course, SHRM will provide electronic access to SHRM's learning management system, and SHRM will also send hard copy materials directly to our registered students. Because of this, applicants are encouraged to enroll at least 10 to 14 days prior to course start date. Please refer to your information toolkit for specific dates and times. And now I'm going to return the microphone to Linda, who will summarize the programs we have just presented for your consideration. Thank you. Linda?
Thanks, Jeanie. Okay, so just to summarize, our programs are very real world oriented. We bring practical knowledge into the classroom so you can take the information back into your organizations. We have a very high educational return on your investment. We're compliant, we're current, and we're consistent. And the program is updated each semester because of all the changes that occur. So I'm confident you'll enjoy the class materials and exercises. And the best part of this is that there are no finals. So with that, I'll give it back to Anissa.
Thank you so much. Jeanie, Linda, James, you have done a fantastic job. Thank you to all of our instructors for this incredibly insightful information. We know it's a lot of details, but they do such a great job of making sure that everybody is up to date with the latest details. So we're actually going to come back to those instructors momentarily for our Q&A segment. But first, let's take a quick look at our course delivery and registration details. So almost all of the CSUDH extended education programs are being offered in an online format, which means that the students are assigned online access through our campus's IT services. Each student will need login credentials to access our student portal called My CSUDH. This portal includes Blackboard, which is our learning management system, where the course content is distributed, Toro Mail, which is our Gmail-based student email system, and the Zoom web conferencing tool, of course. Now, these login credentials, which consist of your username, your email account, and your password, are issued through our registration office approximately 2 to 3 business days after registration in your first course. Once you've received your login information, you'll be able to easily access the Toro student portal to connect with your class. Enrollment is available from our Extended Education Registration Office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, if you've taken a course at Dominguez Hills in the past 2 years, you may register online using your mycsudh.edu account. We highly recommend that you register early to make sure that there's space in the course and to allow enough time for course information and online access information to be created and distributed, sent to you. Payment is due at the time of registration, so you can pay for your courses individually or you can pay for multiple courses all at once. The Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, otherwise known as WIOA, provides funding through the California Employment Development Department for qualifying students who are currently unemployed or seeking career training. For more information, please email wioa@csudh.edu or visit our program website for more information. If you need any additional financial assistance, please Google private student loan providers or connect with sallymay.com for student loan details. So again, we recommend that you register at least 1 week before the course begins. Once you have received your login information, you'll be able to easily access the Toro student portal to connect with your class, check your Toro mail and personal emails frequently for special instructions and campus notifications. You'll also want to be sure to test your account in Blackboard. Get comfortable with the layout of the class, such as where to find announcements, Zoom meeting schedules, discussions, and the like. And let us know via our academic technology services if you're having any difficulty connecting. So let's get ready for our questions. And we hope that you guys are taking advantage of all of these amazing instructors and the wealth of information that they have available. So please, once again, use your Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and drop your questions in that block. And we'll start off with a couple of warm-up questions just to get it rolling. So, of course, everybody always wants to know what information do we need? If you have never been in HR before and you want to get started, you want to go into this field, how can you get started with no experience? Anybody want to take that one on? And I'm going to
I'll take it. I think
Okay.
a great way, this is Linda, I think a great way to get introduced to HR, and it's what I started with. I wish they had these programs when I was getting involved in HR, is to start out with the HR Management Certificate Program. It really gives you the basic foundations of HR. And it covers a lot, but it's very, it's a very great, it's a good place to start. And it's fun. It's fun to learn about these things. And it's very applicable to people who really have no idea, on what HR is. It's because the course itself is so broad. It covers really all the basics. So that would be my answer.
If I could jump in and dovetail on what Linda has said, not only or in addition to our HR management program, I would also suggest, when you enroll in a program like that, you're also meeting other people who also may be exploring HR for the first time as well. And then you can join an association that is pretty much dedicated to the HR roles. And that is, for example, like Professional and Human Resources Association, which is pretty much California-based, Southern California-based primarily, and also as well as the SHRM organization, of course, that's more of a national and global element. But when you're dealing as a California practitioner, Pyramid would be really a good place to also network, get to meet other people, and get introduced that way as well.
Okay. We have a question from Wendy who asks, I want a career in HR. My experience is clerical or administrative within the justice system. I have a bachelor's degree in public sector management and I obtained an APHR certification, but I have not been able to land an HR position yet. As experts in the field, would you recommend the HR management and supervision certificate to be useful for me, or does she have a more preferred starting point?
I think that I would start with the Human Resources Management certificate because, again, without some practical experience, you gain actually some hands-on skill development in the class itself. So you know how to do things, not just what to do, but how to do them. And then to be able to move into the more advanced areas if so desired. But I would go with the HR management certificate program to start building those actual hands-on tools.
Okay.
And to dovetail on what Jim said, one of the things you'll walk away with in this HR management certificate program is when you go for that job interview and they ask you, do you have experience? Well, then you can talk about the experience you learned in class, and you have a better way of answering those interview questions. So you're not coming at it with, no, I don't know what, I've never done it before. Now you're going to be able to say, yes, I have done it, and I do understand what it means to do this. And so you'll have those answers.
Okay. Loretta asks, this is an interesting question, are we able to pick courses from the various programs? So, for example, a few from the HR management and others from the business partner. She says she has an MS in organizational development and will probably not be able to pursue a full certification.
Well, if you're not looking for the certificate to add to your resume, then yes, I would say that you can pick and choose the individual classes that you feel would be most applicable to what you want to learn. You will build your transcript. You just won't end up with the certificate that you get to frame and put up on your wall.
So just to clarify that question, the modules have specific classes underneath them. So it's not like you could just take one class out of the module. You'll either have to take all 4 or all 6 of that particular module. And I just want to make sure that's understood.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification too. We have a question. Oh man, now they're really all coming in. Let's see. Fatisha asks, I have a job interview for an executive assistant for Human Resources Department. I have been an admin assistant for a CPA firm for the last 15 years. I have never worked in HR. Are there any suggestions on how to approach my interview? You have to think about that one.
I would say there's a thing that you want to do, and all of us end up doing this in our classes. We often work with students either 30 minutes before class or do a little bit after class to talk about how do you put your resumes together, how do you land that HR job for the first time without much experience, but now you have the certificate under your belt. And a lot of it is we focus on what's called transferable skills. And what you have learned as an administrative assistant, as an executive assistant, but moving into HR, think about the things that HR does or is responsible for being able to do, and apply the skills that you have into how that can help in dealing with employee records management, or with confidentiality, or supporting investigations, or in organizing activities or projects. Those are the kinds of things that you may have been supporting the executive in an engineering department, but you can take those same skills and do it in the HR department. And that will be your first step into that HR room through the door.
Okay. So kind of along those lines, another question we have is, these are almost like leveling questions. At what point, at what step should I enter? So Karina asks, what program would you recommend for someone with a bachelor's in business management with a concentration in HR?
I would still go with the basic.
Yeah, I would say the HR Management Certificate Program. And from there, you'll gain the experience and knowledge to move into the more strategic one after.
The reason I would jump in and just say, remember that holding a degree, the degree comes from the theory side, conceptual side of learning what HR is all about. Our course is a practicum course. That means that we bring the practice of HR into the classroom. And that dynamic of the interaction between the instructor and the students, that in and of itself is a major learning experience, because you get to see the applications of what you learned on the theoretical side, and you begin to really understand what it takes to apply and put into motion those theories.
And to piggyback off of that, our program director, Elizabeth, says, and tell the interviewer that you're planning to take our program. So that's another good tie-in too. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, so let's take it from beginning into a more seasoned person. So Michelle says, I'm currently working for a laboratory as an HR administrator. We have over 850 plus employees. I would like to polish my skills and enhance my knowledge with continued education and not feel so overwhelmed. I have over 20 years of experience should I take the SHRM CP or Senior CP exam. I already completed the HR Management Certificate Program in 2012. Thank you.
Yay.
And at Dominguez Hills, and loved the program. Thank you for those kudos too. So what's our take, Jeanie?
I've seen it both ways. Remember that the CP side deals more in the operational role. And if you've had a more seasoned career in HR, then you've probably been involved in a more strategic role. Whatever your comfort level is, you could go either the SHRM CP or the SHRM SCP. And then the other thing that I would also suggest, if you're not ready, there's a lot of time commitment involved with the prep program. I will tell you that. And if you do not want to be majorly overwhelmed right now, and if you have the time to commit, then I would suggest the business partner program is also something that might reinforce and probably bring in another viewpoint in terms of enhancing what you already have acquired and attained in your career. But if you're going for a certification, I believe that the SCP may be pretty much in your ballpark.
Right. And speaking of operations management, so Joanna asks, she actually is an operations manager, and she's been in management for 7 years. So she says, with her current extent of HR knowledge associated with onboarding, hiring, interviewing, mentoring, and things of that sort, and she has a BA in business, but she's conflicted. Do you recommend that she do the regular HR management or go directly to business partner as well? So kind of similar questions there. Take
it away, Jim.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Jim.
Okay. All right, I got it. You really have to kind of do a little bit of self-examination here, Joanna. What you want to really do is how much do you really know about labor and employment law? How do you know, do you know the mechanics of human resources? I'm sure that you're very familiar as a manager because you're dealing with people, you're managing people. So you're going to be crossing over human resources all of the time. But do you have the mechanics of human resources management itself? If not, then I would say the HR certificate program. If you feel pretty good that, hey, I've been in an organization where I've learned from my HR professionals and my HR managers that I've worked with, I know probably more than most other operations managers know, then the strategic program might be one that you can walk into. But if you can honestly say that you have a pretty good basic grasp of the mechanics of HR, then you can go into the advanced program. Otherwise, I would start with the HR management certificate.
Okay. We have an anonymous attendee who says they received an HR management certification in 2017. And do you recommend like doing a refresher to be caught up on the latest? Or should that person also go into business partner as well?
I think they could go into business partner.
I do too.
Okay.
I do also. I do also.
Okay. Let's see. User says, I have been doing HR for a year and a half. I still feel there's much that I don't know and need to learn. I don't hold any degrees or certificates. That's probably going to be the opening program, correct?
Correct. The HR
Absolutely.
management certificate program would be perfect.
Okay. And someone wants to know, are any of these certifications recognized by SHRM?
Actually, all of our programs are eligible for SHRM PDCs, meaning equivalent to CEUs, continuing ed units. They are indeed, when you take a course that is HR related, anything having to do with HR, yes. When you become certified, once you become certified, they are eligible for credit, for recertification credit. Yes.
Absolutely. I know in the interest of time, we are going to probably run a few minutes over, but I love that these questions are really addressing your specific needs as the students. So I want to keep going for just a little bit more. Sarah asks, does the program offer networking opportunities for alums working in HR?
I will jump in and say, I'm going to use the SHRM class as an example. Students who go through the quote unquote, the pain of learning of how to take an exam, everybody bonds together. And actually in all of the classes, you meet each other, you meet your fellow students, you bond, you learn that you have things in common, you speak the same language in terms of the professional languages, and you kind of have the same kind of motivation, and you kind of motivate each other. And so what I would say, the networking is endless. It's absolutely endless. And once you bond with each other, with your fellow students, then they introduce you to their friends. And then I mentioned Professionals in Human Resources Association, and the networking aspects are absolutely, sky's the limit. Absolutely sky's the limit. And you find out once you start learning about other people, what common interests they have outside of the professional area, what interests do they have? And so then you have those ties and those networking opportunities. So it's entirely up to you, however long and lengthy and wonderful you want to grow your networking system. So, and opportunities. So there.
And I will say that during our classes, a lot of times I talked about in my presentation, we have class exercises, right? I always pair people up, and I always pair them up different, just so they have the opportunity to work together. I present, issues, and then they work them out pertaining to whatever discussion is on that class topic. And so you're automatically networking because you're being paired with people in the classroom.
And in our prep course, I have everybody get into study groups. So they now make friends, and they're called study buddies. And now I'm finding out that the study buddies are having reunions. And because of the virtual format, everybody's reconnecting, virtually. Yep. So it's entirely up to you, however you want to do it.
An anonymous attendee asks, what makes CSUDH different comparing to other universities or programs offering HR management or HR business partner programs?
That's right up Jim's alley.
Well, we were the pioneers in that. There was one program in the entire CSU system prior to ours, and that was at Cal State Long Beach. It was taught as an academic course. Ours was the first that was focused on being a practical application course. We've looked at others, and we compare our program, or at least I've compared our program with other programs. They have added practical application to their programs, but they're still kind of half theory, half practical. We're pretty much 90% practical, and the theory, the book learning aspect of it just comes as a part of that. It's there as part of the construct, but we're very, very focused on the hands-on. How do you make it actually work? The other programs give you the tools. We show you how to use them.
Okay. Christy asks, I would like to create a more diverse business background. I currently work at a school district in finance and would like to shift to HR. Would these certificate programs be helpful for the public employee sector?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We
That
all-
answers that. Straightforward.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
I'm finding more public employees now than
Mine
ever
too.
before registering for our courses.
Yep.
And then they have been telling their friends, and all of a sudden it used to be the private sector was pretty much the majority, and now I'm finding more and more public employees who are coming in, and their supervisors are encouraging them to take our courses.
Well, that's kind of what I'm finding too. I was just going to say that some of the HR students that I've taught have come back to me and said, I've got managers that could use the manager and supervision course, you know, and from just in my class, you know, and then having them refer their, you know, workers, their colleagues to our manager and supervision program, which is exactly what we wanted to do, because there's a lot of managers and supervisors out there that could use the extra support. And the HR person's usually the first to know about that, those people who could use that extra help.
Okay. In the career field, I've heard this term before, HR generalist. So someone's asking what program would work best for those working in recruiting but wanting to gain experience and knowledge as HR generalist, as the term.
For the mechanics, the HR management program.
Mm-hmm.
For the strategic, HR business partner.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Jasmine says she's been an operations manager for over 5 years, and in talent acquisition for another 5 years, and in management role for the last 3 years. So she's adding up. I am very operations focused. So would the SHRM CP or SHRM SCP be the best fit?
SHRM CP, I believe, would really be helpful to you at this point.
Okay.
At this point, yes.
I love that everybody knows what their backgrounds are and what they want to do, and they just want to make sure they're taking the right entry or the right door, the right path. So that's pretty amazing. An anonymous attendee says that they are graduating from the Applied Studies program here at Dominguez Hills, but they're very interested in management and supervision. They currently work as an administrative assistant for operations and have some onboarding responsibilities. What program would you recommend would help them advance their career?
Did I understand you right? Did the question say they want to get more into management?
They want to go into management and
That's what I
supervision.
Yeah, then I would take the management and supervision course if that's what they want to do.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to remember, as managers and supervisors, you are mini HR people anyways. You have to follow a lot of the same laws, and you know, as Jeanie said, the first line of defense is against any litigation is managers and supervisors.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Jasmine asked, you mentioned the SHRM CP is focused on test prep. Is it structured alongside the exam, or are there sections of learning tied into the test prep as well?
There are several kinds of questions that are part of the study curriculum, are part of the study elements. If I understood the question correctly, we have case studies, we have, there are online quizzes, there are requirements for completion of the online quizzes, and students will bring those quizzes to class. There is outside reading. There is a tremendous amount of reading. There are PowerPoints, which are distributed to the students to assist with the reading material. And but is primarily question and answer and discussion and an entire um, you know, session filled with discussing those elements.
Okay.
So
And I think we're coming down to our last few questions. I'm hoping I'm saying this right. Odelia asks, I graduated with a BA in communications and am now looking into HR. Currently, I've been a sourcing specialist for 2 months. In order to break into a more HR role, what certificate would be best, and what is the biggest difference between HR business partner and HR generalist? Should I get an HR internship or continue in sourcing?
Ooh, I would go with the HR management certificate.
Yep.
Okay, based upon what you've described your background as being, and an internship is generally kind of a part-time, temporary, uh, entry level type of a position. I would aim for something a little bit higher once you've achieved the certificate. Move into more of an entry level, actual, like a recruiter position or an employee relations position, or even a small business generalist position. You'll be armed with the tools necessary to do that, rather than do a summer internship or an externship, to gain a certain number of hours. I would go after it. Having earned the certificate here, I would aim a little higher.
Excellent. Deborah Franklin has been in HR for over 25 years, and she wants to know, would you recommend the business partner certificate for her? And here's a common question. What if she has a schedule conflict? If it's only offered on a certain day, how do we arrange, or what can be done?
Well, for this term, it is being offered on Wednesdays. We do rotate instructors into the various programs, so we're all working all of the various programs. So we're always very sharp for all of those, and we all have different days that we instruct. I instruct on Wednesdays. Linda might instruct on Tuesdays or Thursdays.
Tuesdays.
Okay, Tuesdays. So if Tuesday is a better option, and if that's going to be the summer program schedule, then you can hold until summer. But attendance is very important because it is a CEU based program, and it means FaceTime on Zoom.
We have a question from Angel, who asks, do you find these certificate programs to be equally as useful or effective as the SHRM certification, both in practice and on a resume? If having to pick between either option, what do you think is best?
I'm going to jump into this one, and Jeanie, you can back on it a little bit.
you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, the SHRM certification carries a little bit more weight on a resume, but it's also an indication that you already have that
Working knowledge
of HR. If you need to gain some of that working knowledge, then I would not go into the shrmprep. I would go into one of the actual practical application programs.
And that said, and we have found this with several of our students who have taken both the SHRM prep course and the business partners course, and they do complement each other.
Yeah.
The SHRM prep course will take a little bit deeper dive, but it is pretty much aligned with the business partners course. So if you're not ready to take an exam, go ahead with Jim. And if you feel comfortable that you might want to pursue the SHRM exam, please, you'll be welcome into my class.
Okay. Britt asks an interesting question. They say, I have been an HR expert for unnamed company with a red bullseye for a little over 2 years and cannot advance higher if I stay here because of how they advance and promote their team members. What program would be best to take if I want to get a decent job if I leave?
Depends upon the job and what you know or don't know. If you're going to go in and if you've been a generalist in your position, you've been handling benefits, you know how to administer benefits, you know how to administer compensation, you know how to handle employee relations issues, you know how to hire and fire essentially, and everything in between. Then I would say head for the business partner certificate, get that on your resume, and tell them, look, I not only know what to do, I know how to put it into practice in the organization.
Right. Okay. And our last question for the evening is from Sheena. She says, where should an HR assistant start who has a BS in business administration with a concentration in HR? The goal is to become an HR manager.
Management certificate first, and then business partner second.
Business partner second.
Love it. You got the whole path laid out. We're going to make a path diagram to go along with that. Well, I just want to take a quick minute to say thank you, Jeanie. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Jim. You guys have been absolutely incredible with your wealth of information. Like I said, these are the experts, and we're glad that so many students got to partake of your information. So thank you again. And I'm going to go ahead and get us into the closing of the presentation. So at this point, we have covered quite a bit of detail, but we know that you might have a couple of last minute questions. So if we've missed anything, please feel free to email us or call us during our business hours. The email address is learn@csudh.edu, and our phone number is 310-243-2075. And when you're ready to take your next steps and register, please call our Extended Education Registration Office at 310-243-3741, option number 1. And remember, if you've been a student here at Dominguez Hills before, simply log into your My CSUDH portal to register for your classes online. So this concludes our HR Resource Management Programs information session, and we want to thank you again for joining us today. Again, feel free to connect with us on our website, via social media, on our Facebook page, and our LinkedIn group. And remember to register early to get your spot in your preferred classes. We'll stay in this session for just a few minutes more to give everyone a moment to jot down your last minute notes and download the HR information kit from the chat panel. The recording for this session is live on our YouTube channel right now and will be online shortly on our website as well. Now, we'd love to get your feedback on today's session, so please let us know how we can improve the quality of the information provided by visiting bit.ly/CSUDH-webinar-feedback. You'll also be taken to the link right at the end of the session, and it will be provided in a follow-up email. And when you're ready to leave, simply click the red leave button at the corner of your screen. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you in class. Have a good one, everyone.